Well, everyone, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by I Love Growing Marijuana. Because when you're ready to grow your own cannabis, you need two things, seeds and knowledge. And you can get both of those things over there. They have a seed bank that has regular, feminized, and autoflower seeds. They also have a free grower's guide that you can download. So click on the link in the show notes to get yourself to I Love Growing Marijuana. And don't forget that Delta Leaf Labs has the plant and DNA sex testing kit that you need. They make it really easy to take a sample from your seedling. You take that sample, you send it to the lab, and a couple of days after they get it, you'll know whether you're the proud parent of a male or a female plant. So go over to deltaleaflabs.com, order your testing kits, and at checkout, use promo code IMGS10 to get 10% off. Okay, now let's start the show. Welcome back, everybody, to the In My Grow Show, the podcast dedicated to taking the mystery out of cannabis. I'm your host, Alex. And before I really get into the show, I want to thank everybody for all of the financial support that they throw to the show. I want to thank my buddy Ray on Patreon for all of his help. I want to thank everybody who's bought a t-shirt, everybody who's used the Amazon link on the show notes. I really appreciate that because last month, because of that financial help, I was able to pay for the hosting fees for the website for the whole year. And that was really awesome. That felt really good. So thank you very much, everybody. And of course, as you've noticed, the show's a couple of days late this week. December's a really busy month for me. My wife's birthday, my daughter's birthday, and my birthday are in December. We're each 5 days apart. Plus, on top of that, it's baby Jesus' birthday also this month. So that's why it's coming out today and not Sunday. Also, if I sound a little nasally or stuffed up, that's because I'm fighting a cold also. That's always really fun around this time. So thank you for taking the time and listening again. Later on, I'm going to have an interview that I did with Subcool, the breeder. I mentioned last week that I was able to talk to him. He was really nice to me. He was really cool about talking to me. But I'm going to have that later. Right now, let's do the strain of the week. And I'm going to give it up to the infamous bubblegum. Now, bubblegum is a hybrid. It was developed in Indiana. Then it was taken to the East Coast. And from there, it went to Holland to go get stabilized into the beautiful bubblegum that we know of today. It's a nice even high. It's not a real strong pow hitch in the face. At least it wasn't for me. And really a really euphoric kind of elevating feeling also, which was awesome. It's got a sweet earthy smell. That smell of dirty wet pine cone and candy. And that's what bubblegum smells like. It's pretty popular and it should be easy to find out there. So go get yourself some bubblegum. So moving on to my social media, my buddy Felipe from Delta Leaf Lab had sent me this email about Santa Barbara County's Planning Commission and what they're wanting to do in the San Ynez Valley. So what the county's planning on doing is limiting the size of hoop houses to 4,000 square feet, which is basically 400 by 400 feet. And that kind of limitation is basically going to devastate the commercial cannabis industry. Not just the commercial cannabis industry, but also berry farmers. But hopefully there's a way to stop this because on Wednesday, December 5th at 9 a.m. at the Santa Barbara County Planning Commission, which is in room 17 of the Santa Barbara Court Engineering Building, which is 123 East Anapamu Street in Santa Barbara. So I encourage everybody to show up there at the very least to show support for cannabis and at the very most sign up to be heard, especially if this affects you. Like I said, that is Wednesday, December 5th at 9 a.m. Another thing I wanted to mention was that Green Flower Media, they're putting together a grower's course, a cultivation course, which is cool. They got a bunch of great people that are going to be lecturing, Mel Frank, Kyle Cushman, Kevin Jordy. But the really interesting thing I saw was that Kyra Rude was going to be there. And I talked to her way back in the summertime. She's one of the integrated pest management experts that I spoke to from Rincon, Vitova. So I thought that was really cool that she got on board for that course. Good on her, and congratulations, Kyra, for being a part of this, man. Sounds like a really good thing. And finally, At Shangri-La Care Cooperative, that's another dispensary up here in Ojai, they have weekly workshops on Wednesdays. This week's workshop is going to be about basic best growing techniques. So make a plan to go to Shangri-La and learn some growing techniques on Wednesday. And now let's do the report from the cannabis front line. In Michigan, their marijuana legalization law goes into effect next week on December 6th. But in Michigan, they also want to change the law. SB 1243 seeks to amend voter-initiated Proposition 1 in a manner that would strip away language that currently permits adults to home cultivate cannabis, among other changes. The measure removes provisions from the law that permits adults to home cultivate up to 12 marijuana plants on their private premises. So people in Michigan, it sounds like you still have a lot of work to do, man. You guys got to get out there and fight for those growers' rights. Because it's not just the right to grow that you're fighting for, in my opinion. It's the right to have open access to cannabis. It's a right to have the choice to either grow your own medicine or have someone grow it for you. That's basically what it is. Because if you take away growers' rights, then the only way you're going to get cannabis is if somebody else makes it for you. So get on out there, Michigan. Get mobilized. Beat down this SB 1243. Okay, so next, Governor Bruce Rauner of Illinois vetoed a bill that removes a provision to fire state troopers and correction officers who test positive for marijuana. Okay, so the governor vetoed a bill that would let state troopers and correction officers use marijuana. So what the governor's saying basically is that you can be those officers in those high stress, high danger situations, but you're not allowed to use cannabis as a coping mechanism for that stress. That's ridiculous and unfair. If I were you guys in Illinois, I'd remember that and vote that guy out. Next, in New Jersey, legislation is pending, S10, to expand the state's medical cannabis program. The measure facilitates the expansion of additional medical cannabis growers and providers, while also expanding the amount of cannabis a patient may legally purchase and possess. It further expands the pool of licensed health professionals who may recommend medical cannabis and shields registered patients from employment discrimination and the loss of child custody. It also phases out retail sales tax on medical cannabis, among other changes. And that's in New Jersey. Now in Utah, a majority of Utah voters decided on election day in favor of Proposition 2, the Utah Medical Cannabis Act. However, politicians are threatening to significantly amend this act during a special legislative session in December. Their proposed changes are likely to adversely impact patients' medical cannabis access and unduly delay the law's implementation. And I found all of that information on NORML's website, that is normal.org. Go over there, get informed with what's going on with cannabis around the country, and become a member. Alright, brothers and sisters, check it out. I'm going to take a small break, put on some music. After that, I'm going to play an interview that I had with Subcool, the breeder. I'm a big fan of the guy's work. I was totally floored and felt really lucky that he took the time to talk to me. If you don't know who Subcool is, he is the founder of TGA Genetics. He's been in the cannabis game and in the cannabis seed game for about 30 years, back when, all of this was still illegal. And he has a lot of grow knowledge to share. So hang tight and I will play that interview here in just a moment. Well, everyone, I'm real excited to have on the phone with me the weed nerd himself, the founder of TGA Genetics, Subcool. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Before we really get started with our conversation, first of all, I want to thank you for the work you've done for the past 30 years. I also want to, thank you for pushing the conversation lately of cannabis being a medicine, not just some kind of recreational, heady thing people do. So,
Yes, I got into this through the medical end. I mean, I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast because I heard in Oregon you could grow cannabis for medical. And so we started growing cannabis for medical just because we wanted weed. But then all of a sudden we started meeting people with ailments and seizures and tumors. And fibrous tumors and stuff that cannabis seemed to provide help with. And then, I actually was able to come in contact with Rick Simpson and hear his story personally. And I would have to say I'm twofold. I believe in the right to use cannabis recreationally, but I believe the fact that we are giving out opiates and not giving out cannabis and cannabis terpenes and cannabinoids in order to heal the nation, I think it's insanity. And so I use my platform and my little bit of limited power as someone that's been doing this for 30 years to drive the message home that, one of my new messages has been in alcohol clinics. I mean, we need to be using cannabis to help people stay off drugs because their choices are nothing sometimes or heroin. And believe me, there's something in between nothing and heroin. And if we could just use maybe some cannabinoids and some outpatient therapy, I think your recidivism or whatever, your rate of falling back would be much smaller.
Yeah, we seem to be on these separate kicks of either we're only using medicine that comes in a pill form, or we're going to just not use anything at all to help treat people and just expect them to be okay. And it's just not working.
The opioid crisis it's mind-blowing. And I am an ex-addict. I'm clean 3 years of opiates. I've had lots of surgeries. I have a fatal illness. And I deal with pain on a daily basis, but I treat it with CBD and THC and other cannabinoids because, speaking bluntly, the only opiate, the only pill that's ever good is the first one. And after that, it's just a spiral of trying to chase your pain away. And it's a nationwide epidemic. In fact, that they just released a new opioid that's 50 times more powerful than morphine. And I don't know who the hell we're making this for because the common man that has a simple back problem, there's no way he can get these drugs. It's almost like they're making the drugs for the drug epidemic.
Jeez, man, 50 times. That's crazy. Well, like I said, man, thank you for helping us push this conversation to a different level, man.
You're very welcome.
So a couple of episodes ago, I did a segment on CBG and did a bunch of, looked up a bunch of information online and looked up a bunch of studies and read some articles. And some of these articles made it sound like you personally were developing CBG strain. But that's, from what I understand and from what you're telling me, that's not really what's happening.
No, I was one of the first breeders. And so I was one of the first breeders in America to sell seeds in public. It was the Cow Palace 2006. Nobody was selling dabs. There were no girls walking around without tops on. It was just people standing around handing out business cards. And we paid $12,000 for a booth, so I needed my money back. So we sold $250,000 worth of cannabis seeds into the Northern California culture in 3 days. And it established myself as someone in the area that we grow cannabis. And then as we started growing these out, we sent them to testing labs. So I was one of the first person to do large-scale cannabinoid testing at labs. Now, I am behind the times now. We don't do it as much as we did. We were very excited about the time. So a lot of my strains went on the internet and the full terpene profiles went up and CBG started showing up and THCV, which we found in 6%. People think I created it. I found it. It just happened. So I think what you found is all of those tests, about 15 tests from 15 strains, got loaded up on the internet right away, and some of them contain CBG, like Cheesequake and some of the others. And that, I think, is why you got picked up on the internet as I'm the guy. We did have some success with it, but we were just trying to make killer cannabis. We didn't have a specific, cheese is good for pain, Urkel is good for sleep, some of the Jack Hares are good for skeletal pain. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not a genius. I am a very passionate grower. That's it. I've made 205 strains in my life, and along the way, I've made some really interesting medical strains.
And one of those strains, I actually had one of yours for a while, for like 4 years. I had this third dimension for about 4 years, this mother, and she was phenomenal.
Great to hear you say those words. When I made 3D, I was much younger and much more excitable, and I was so excited to make a three-way. Dude, we're making a three-way cross. We're going to cross Jack's Cleaner and Killer Queen and Space Queen all together. And we were just so excited about it. And to this day, it is not some huge seller on the market because it's a sativa, but as you know, it is blisteringly potent.
It has this. I love sativas. That's my thing. But the 3D just talk about keeping you high and motivated. It's just wow. Once again, I appreciate the work on that.
Thanks, sir.
So now the main reason why I wanted to talk to you is because, so prohibition like dominoes are falling, not just in this country, but, all around the world. Because of that, all of these new seed companies are just popping up online. And I notice, but talking to you, I guess it's not a trend, is that these seed companies, a lot of their seed stock or their whole seed stock are just F1s, or let's just say first generation of two plants being crossed. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it kind of irks me because, they're selling these seeds, these unstable seeds, these, F1s at a premium price, $120, $140 for a pack of 10.
The business is very complicated, and first off, I will tell you that I take a lot of heat as being a pollen chunker. I'm not a super educated guy. I'm not. Duke Diamond can sit and talk X's and Y's to you till your head spins. I'm just not that guy. I'm the guy who has flown around the world and collected mother plants and father plants and had the balls to do it, the balls to put a pack of seeds in a seed pack and send them to anyone that wanted them, and I've done so for 2 decades. And you said something that I'm just going to have to, because that's what we're doing, we're talking about it. Those $120 10-packs, those breeders are not getting that. Seeds are marked up 3 times. So a breeder is generally making $2 a seed or $1.50 a seed. But by the time he goes through the channels it takes to get into the international market, they're at $12 a seed. So I've got to let you know that breeders are not wealthy people. We make our living in the margins at $1 and $1.50 a seed. So that's one thing. But the other thing is...
Really?
Oh, God, yes. God, yes. I live on $1 a seed. I mean, I have to pay my breeders. I have to pay my distributors. I have to pay advertising. I have to pay packing. I have to pay people in other countries. I have to open banks in fucking Estonia, in Amsterdam. I have to fly around the fucking country just to stay legal. I have $250,000 in legal fees just in California, and I can't even sell seeds in California yet. So, no, we are not rich. The people who are getting rich are the people growing massive warehouses full of weed, and the investors, not the growers. The master growers make about $85,000 a year. Having said that, I think the difference between my F1s and polyhybrids is that before we release a strain into the community, we test 1,000 seeds. We have 100 growers grow the strain out under LED, under high-pressure sodium. We let commercial growers grow it in Colorado. We let island growers grow it in Hawaii. And when they tell us that the strain is hermaphrodite-free and has a unique characteristics that does not exist on the planet, we think about releasing it. What happens in the industry is someone goes out and buys my Cheesequake, and then they buy my 3D, and they make a new strain. They don't test it. They dump it on the market, unregulated, and the consumer doesn't understand it. And then the other problem is, let's take my Agent Orange strain, which I created about 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh, that's a good strain.
With my ex. We made it together. I say this specifically because even that is in doubt. So we stood in the same room together using genetics that we found together, and we made a cross together. So even that ownership is in doubt. But I see Agent Orange feminized seeds for sale. I don't sell feminized seeds yet. I see Agent Orange seeds for sale in other countries where I don't produce them. So because we don't have a trademark patent protection yet because of the freaking feds, we can't protect our product. So literally you can go buy a pack of Jag the Ripper, grow it out, find a male and a female, put it in a pack and put it in your store, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that is what's happening. Entire seed companies have been formed by simply guys buying 2 packs of my seeds and creating their own company. They take 1 male and they take 10 females. They put it in one room, they cross it, and all of a sudden they're in competition with me. And many of these people I literally taught how to create pollen and put on a female plant. So I'm in competition with the people I literally taught how to not only make the seeds, but back in the old days, how to fucking smuggle them. In the old days, we didn't do this legally. So you don't get where I'm at by not being an outlaw. So I've literally smuggled cannabis seeds in my ass to other countries. So when I talk about doing the work and making, the industry work, it's not breeding when you sit on the internet and order 2 packs of seeds from Mark Emery and you have a seed company. That's not breeding. And I think that is the subject today, not necessarily F1s, because I can surely go out and take a really good mother plant and cross it with one of my father plants, which would technically be an F1, and create something so amazing like my new vanilla tart, which smells like vanillas and limes. And it's just cookies and cream, and Jack the Ripper didn't take a rocket scientist to make this, okay? It's like, this would be really good, let's make it. And guess what? I have one in my other room right now. I can share a picture with you. It is phenomenal. But we tested it. I'm growing it here. We're growing it in Canada. We're growing it in Amsterdam. I think that's the difference. You have to test your product. And how do we come up with these? How do we come up with our descriptions? We do this with the testers. And so 10 people send me a description on a new strain. For instance, Strelka. So Strelka is my new collaboration with Kyle Cushman. It's his star dog. I'm Space Queen. We really like the cross a lot. We were going to call it, can I talk a little bit about the industry just to make you laugh?
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So we tested this strain. So a long time ago, I had Space Dog, and it was a cross of Kim Dogs, Snow Dog, and my Space Queen. When we made it, we thought about naming it Laika. So Laika is the first dog in space.
Oh, right.
And I'm going to go all over the place. So we thought it was the first dog in space, but actually the Russians lied. Laika died, burned up in the atmosphere because the Russians didn't know what the fuck they were doing. This later information went on to teach NASA how to not kill our pilots because we learned how to pressurize and do heat sinks. And then last year when we made this cross with Kyle Cushman, I thought I had the right to name it Laika because I'd used it. I found out the breeder I worked with at the time actually took an F2 of my strain. So he's working with me. He just grew out a pack of seeds and made his own damn Snow Dog cross, and he calls it Laika. Well, it's on Seed Finder. And once you're on Seed Finder, that's pretty much the trademark of our industry. So it's his now. So we decided to name it Strelka, which was actually the second dog that the Russians launched into space that they didn't kill, and it came back. So, having said all that, we have people testing it right now, and they're sending in their results. And so we start to collect the flavors. So the first flavor that we know we've seen is guava. Now, I won't even know what the hell guava tastes like. I've never had it, and I don't know what it is. But in these reports that get emailed to me, it's coming up. Tastes like guava and melons. So I will collect this data. And then when I write my final strain description, I incorporate all of this information. Is it tall? Is it wide? Is it fast? Did it stink? Did it not stink? Then that translates over to the medication. Did it get you high? Did it make you horny? Did it relieve pain? Did it make your heart beat? Did it calm you? Did it cause anxiety? And all of this comes together in these massive strain reports that we put on our website. So when you go to my website, subcool.com or tgagenetics.com, and you read a description, it's not a hustler description. It doesn't say these big busted babes are going to bust your butt. It's a real description. It says this strain took 65 days to grow out. It tastes like bananas and strawberries. It is not made for nighttime use. I mean, it is real. And I think this is where the industry has got to go. Real advertising. I see other people grabbing my descriptions out of the Book of Dank and using it on their own website. Write your own descriptions by growing the plant out and writing the description, not by cheesing it off of Google.
You mentioned something that I want to get your thoughts on, and that is you as a breeder, how do you patent the genetics then?
Well, we have OG Rascal that has the first U.S. patent that we know of on Whitefire, but he has not put Whitefire in a box yet and sold it. So the way the trademark works is you can have a trademark on something, but you have to do what's called interstate commerce. So when I trademarked the Weed Nerd, I had to have it put on a T-shirt, and I had to sell it, and I had to receive money for it. And then I had to send the item and that sale to the New York Trademark Office before I could become the Weed Nerd. I hold the trademark on the Weed Nerd, by the way.
Huh.
But a live plant is another thing. So a live plant has to be trademarked through the federal government. And the federal government doesn't recognize cannabis as anything other than a class of a Schedule I drug. As you know, no redeemable, I can't say it, but you know what I mean. They basically say Satan redeemed. So they won't do anything to this plant until they change it. So even though we can go through the process of taking pictures, I have done leaf pressing, I have getting the strain logged into Phylos Galaxy, a genetic database, I have, and I can apply for the patent. Until we sell, i.e. Jack the Ripper in a box with Jack the Ripper on the box and my company name on the box, it's not a product. And until we have a product, we can't get a trademark. And the next year, you're going to see multiple cannabis companies get trademarked. The biggest problem right now in the industry, and you didn't ask me this question, is the difference between regulated and unregulated. Over 3,000 shops in California, 1,500 are still unregulated and doing what they want. And California, at the Emerald Cup this year, only 2 companies that we know of will be allowed to sell. One of them is my friend Duke Diamond, and he's a genius because he's going to drop seeds across the internet and in Northern California. And nobody else has got it figured out. So guess what everybody's going to be growing in Northern California this year? Dominion seeds.
Wow.
But it's a strange thing that I sold seeds in California for 12 years, and as of today, I cannot sell seeds in California legally. Don't mean you can't get them, because you can get them online. But I mean in a store. You walk into a store, Organican in Santa Rosa, where they have my seeds, I cannot restock them because I don't have the proper California number to resell them cannabis seeds. And even worse, they say seeds are an afterthought. Well, how are you going to create an industry without the seeds that grow the plants? They don't understand the industry. They really don't. The people writing the laws don't understand the industry.
What does that mean, that the seeds are an afterthought?
They think they come from clones. I mean, they haven't discussed the production of seeds. So we've discussed the production of hash, flowers, where it can be manufactured, how it can be manufactured, how it can be transported. But on my seed pack, they're still demanding that I put the THC CBD percentage.
What?
And then when I tell them that seeds don't have CBD, they don't fucking understand. Excuse my language.
No,
it makes no sense.
Go ahead.
I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, I'm talking to the guy at the BCC, and he's basically like, well, you have to put CBD and THC on the pack. I was like, well, it doesn't have any. He says, well, I don't know what to tell you because it's got to have a number. How do you deal with the stupidity? I mean, you know, and so we don't know. Here's another one. I spent 20 years branding my company with all the beautiful colors. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we can't do any of that in California, not even my face, not my avatar, not my logo, because it contains green and purple colors. It looks like candy according to them. So all of my advertising is garbage there. So we have to completely redo everything in black and white line. And now we're trying to see if a black silhouette of me and Kyle Cushman can go on the pack or not. And again, we're talking to some moron who does not want cannabis legal in some office, who doesn't understand that pot comes from seeds. And so he's just killing us here. He's like, well, what about childproof? I said, okay, well, we'll put them in a tamper-proof package, but they're seeds.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if somebody eats them. And so it's a new vision, and I shouldn't probably say this on a public airway, but I will tell you, it's still easier to get them unregulated. It just is. It's easier to move in this market.
Look, it's, and this is not just California that I've noticed. In a lot of states, a lot of these regulations and a lot of these roadblocks that they're putting up, it doesn't seem like they're putting them up to stop any kind of black market.
Maggie's Farm is a great story because Colorado was my heyday. Every single store in Denver on High Street was one of my shops. I had logos. I had guys dancing in the street with my logo on a flag, okay? And then they changed the regulation. But there was this one guy that's named really smart, and his name is Bill Conklin of Maggie's Farm. And he kept coming here to California when I was in California and buying seeds. 5,000, 10,000, 20, 30. Even after he was supposed to stop, he kept doing it. And so they amassed an enormous stock of cannabis seeds in Colorado until Colorado changed the law and put up these imaginary borders. You understand, in Colorado, all the cannabis has to be produced in Colorado from camera, and it has to be tracked with radio collars.
Right.
Okay,
That's
so I can't sell seeds in Colorado. I cannot sell seeds in Colorado. Meanwhile, this guy Bill grows all 40 of my strains and is a mega millionaire right in Colorado. You can go in and buy Jelly Bean, Agent Orange, Cork. It has nothing to do with me other than he bought the seeds. And I'm not mad at the guy. I made money. He bought $250,000 in seeds from me. Great, I got paid. But he literally uses the names I created in the industry to profit. You can go in his store and buy, and he doesn't say Subcool anymore or TGA because he can't. He's in Colorado. So if you go into Maggie's farm and no shit, you buy Jack the Ripper in his package. That's not right. Coca-Cola wouldn't allow it, and neither would Oreo.
So then how do you, once again, how do you patent your genetics, though? I'm sure there's got to be a way, right? Even if it's illegal, isn't there some kind of protections? Because when it does come federally legal, because it's coming.
We have everything that we can in place, with money being the border, the stopping point.
Okay.
So we have everything that we have in place for when the feds deschedule. We know they will. I mean, Canada just recriminalized. Notice I didn't say they descheduled. They recriminalized cannabis in Canada and did this quasi-legalization thing, which is good. Brazil, South Africa, every person in South Africa can grow 4 plants.
Yeah,
Missouri.
Mexico.
Just went legal. Oklahoma just went legal. They cannot stop this movement.
No, Mexico, they're just allowing, you can grow 20 plants a year.
And I will sell so many seeds in Mexico. I've got to go down there next week. And the biggest problem in Mexico is that the banking system is so faltered. Actually getting pesos turned into American dollars into American bank is going to be impossible. So more illegality. You with me? I mean, you can't just take money from somebody and put it in the U.S. bank.
No.
You can't put marijuana money in a bank, even consulting money. Like, I got paid $150,000 for a consulting ad on a project, and it came from a cannabis company. And my bank, Chase, I mean, I had meetings with these people, with lawyers. They're wanting to, not let me put it in there. I said, it's a fucking royalty check. I've never even seen their weed. Like, I've never even been to their plant. I wrote advertisements for the shit. You with me?
Yeah, it's not like cannabis came across your desk with the money.
I'm George Foreman. I'm selling a grill. And it's tough. This business is tough. Which, by the way, is why we lost $12 million in the fire in Napa, because all of our seeds and cannabis and product and everything was all in one location, and the house burned down. We lost $12 million in cannabis seeds because there's no such thing as a place to store genetics in America. You keep them in your house. No business, no building to keep seeds. So, yeah, we lost $12 million in 35 mother and father plants in one night.
Oh, man.
But back to your thing. The U.S. is going to let go, and we will be able to trademark, and it's happening fast. I mentioned this before. There are people that I taught how to grow cannabis who are smarter than me. They have college educations. They have financial backing, and they are already in the Oreo mode. You understand Oreo mode? They're producing, cannabis in multiple states in the same packaging, and you can depend on it being what you buy. But they, as of yet, don't have a patent trademark yet, and they don't have the money figured out yet. Because I can assure you that money from a cannabis product sold in Colorado can't move out of that state and go into another bank. So it's so many levels. This thing's like an onion trying to figure out how to do business. And I have to stress this. I have 10 lawyers, and on a daily basis, I try to stay within the guidelines that the government and the city officials give us and change the target on a daily basis. What is good today changes tomorrow. So we try to stay legal, but I'll be damned. In Arizona, you can go into a dispensary and buy wax, and technically only marijuana is legal in Arizona, not cannabis. So vape pens, cartridges, edibles, and hash are illegal in Arizona.
Hold on. Yeah. So how do they, I didn't know, how do they make the difference between cannabis and marijuana?
They rushed the law. So it was a Republican law driven by patients, and the Republicans here in Arizona did not think it would pass. at all. So when they wrote the law, they just were slack. So they said they legalized marijuana. So somebody has challenged this. And marijuana defined in Arizona is smokable flowers, as defined by their Supreme Court. Now it goes up for a hearing in 2020, but that's 2020. That's the next time we have a hearing. So de facto, it's illegal to possess extracts here, even though you can go in a store and sell them. So now we get into a class and race issue. If you're a white fellow like myself and you drive a brand new car, you're probably fairly safe going to the dispensary and getting some extracts. But if you're an SA in a 2006 Honda Civic and you and two homeboys roll up there to get some edibles, you might get pulled over on your way home. And I hope I don't piss anybody off or offend anybody by the way I just said that, but it's the honest to God truth. In this country, if you are a different color and you don't have as much money, let's say you're driving some beater piece of shit, and you go up and you buy some cartridges and some wax, and you get pulled over by an Arizona cop, he could absolutely end your life right there.
So, man, the confusion just continues over there. So, the dispensaries will sell you concentrates.
Oh, yeah. Oh, anything you want. Anything you want.
Legally?
Yeah, you can walk right out of the store with 2.5 ounces.
But it's illegal to be holding concentrates. Like on the street, like they could, if they go through and, jam you up, check your pockets.
I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to make your head spin worse. Okay. So the city mayor has said, he gave a PSA that says as long as you don't have over 2.5 ounces, as long as you're not stoned in your car and getting high in your car, they're not going to prosecute people. This is what they have said this. They have made the statement that we're not going to prosecute people for this, for possessing it. But they do. They simply do. So I go up to a cop at Firehouse Subs. I'm eating a sub. I don't have any weed with me. You do realize that my hand says weed nerd. I can't hide who I am.
Right.
I mean, I got weed tattooed on my body. I don't change my shirt anymore, okay? I wear it on my hands. So I walk up to him and I said, excuse me, sir, can I talk to you? Very nice guy. Street cop. You know, the guy with the guns all in his chest and so much shit on him he can't walk? That guy. Okay. So he's eating a sandwich. So I said, hey, man, I got to ask you a question. He said, sure. I said, well, I understand that cannabis extracts here in Arizona were at one time legal, and now they've said that it's blah, blah, blah. It's only flowers. And he looked right at me and said, I had no idea they were legal or illegal. I said, so if you pull somebody over with something in a vial, some kind of gooey substance in a vial, what would you do? He said, I would arrest them and take them down to the court and let the court decide. So he's a street cop. He's the guy that's going to pull you over. He's the guy that's eating the sandwich at the sub stop. So this isn't courts. This isn't the internet. This is real life. And he straight up said, yeah, if I pull somebody over and I found a glass jar with some yellow goo in it, I would book them. That's a problem.
Wow.
And he wasn't a jerk. He wasn't mean. He was just telling you the truth.
According to him, he's enforcing the law, right? The law as it's written anyways.
I don't know what this white powder is. White CBD isolate. He's going to bust your ass.
Oh, jeez. Are you kidding me? No, white CBD isolate, the powder?
You know what it looks like.
It does. It does.
So it is. And we have some time to go now in this country, but this is the things, in my opinion, that we can do. And I, if you don't mind, we'll use your platform to say this. Grow your own still. I have everything I own because I plant seeds in the ground, and I believe as an American citizen, I have a right to produce my own food and medicine. I don't think I need a law to do so. I'm not talking about filling up warehouses and stuff, but I have been growing plants since I was a young man, and I always have. After my house burnt down, I planted a garden, and that's what I live off of now. As people in this culture who believe that this plant should be legal, we have to cultivate it ourselves. If you are a vape pen generation, I don't like you. I'm sorry. If the very first time you got high, it was off a vape pen, you are not one of us.
You're missing out. If that's the very
I got high with a young lady with nice bosoms, smoked a joint with me and blew a shotgun to me, and I found out about love, sex, and weed all in the same day. And it's an enchanting feeling, and it disgusts me that some young people, the way they found out about this miraculous plant is some electronic vape cartridge. Doesn't that make you sick to your stomach?
Yeah, it's a different kind of thing, man, for sure.
You smoked a joint the first time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first time, I remember. Roommate upstairs, and just fuck after that, it was over.
It's magical. To me, it was magical. I mean, and so many things have revolved around it, not to get spiritual, but, concerts that I've met, smoking pot with Jack Harrer was something. Smoking pot with Ed Rosenthal over coffee. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Come on, man. I rolled up a joint. I rolled up a joint with Ed that morning. I couldn't wait for him to get up. He got up, I lit that thing, man. My head swelled. I was like, I'm smoking weed with Ed fucking Rosenthal,
Yeah.
And so those moments, I think we share together. I know you've been to a special place with a special person, and you share that spliff. That's just, to me, it's very spiritual. It's not just getting high. And in my culture nowadays, I'm 57 years old. I don't get stoned. I don't act like Spicoli. But it's become almost a religious act. We gather together and we have a dab. We don't sit around and get stupid. We're all busy working. I mine Bitcoin, my God. I mean, we work, but we take time, and I don't want to sound weird, to break bread, but we do it with cannabis.
Yeah, no, that's a very true thing, man. We really do just, come together as friends, even with strangers, like you said, at a concert. How many times have you, passed a joint to the person next to you, and now suddenly,
You're friends.
You're friends. You guys are hanging out, You might even end up fucking going for a meal afterwards.
And I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to be a little fresh here, but I'm definitely a single guy, and I definitely like girls. And I've always been telling young guys this. So when I was a kid, the easiest way to meet a girl was if she would give you a shotgun, if you could take a shotgun. So a shotgun's when you hold the joint in your mouth and you blow the smoke out. So here's the cool little thing. When I was like 16 or 17, if you blew a girl to a shotgun and she held her lips a few inches away from you, she wasn't interested. And if she put her lips around yours and took a shotgun, you had a date coming up. So even that was a social icebreaker. I mean, for real, cannabis has given me so much in life. I cannot say it strongly enough that this plant has given me everything I have ever wanted.
Well, fuck, Subcool, you know what? Thank you for coming on the show, man. Thanks for getting on the phone with me and talking to me, dude. I really appreciate the hell out of it, man.
I appreciate the chance to give my drivel to people. I mean, I am very outspoken and passionate about what I do. I don't know if your viewers know that 6 years ago I found I have a fatal illness. It's genetic, and I am dying of a progressive disease. It certainly puts things in perspective. And so I'm very much in touch with the sick community. I mean, people that have Crohn's and IBS and all these weird-ass sicknesses that they don't know about. My mission in life is to help them. And then the next thing I will tell you, if you are a U.S. veteran and you need help in the cannabis industry, you simply get in touch with me and I will help you. You fought for my country and you helped me have the freedom to sit here and talk on this phone and grow cannabis. And vets are seriously forgotten in this country. So if you're a U.S. veteran and you need help in the cannabis industry, you just get in touch with me at subcoolseeds@gmail.com, and I promise I will help you.
Right on, man. That's fucking awesome, dude. So where else can people find you on the internet, man?
I'm on Instagram. I'm Subcool420 and Subcool's IG. I have multiple Facebooks. My website is subcool.com, where you can go learn to grow cannabis for free. I don't really sell anything on the website, subcool.com. There's a link to seeds, but it is videos, tutorials, books. You can literally start watching 800 different videos on how to grow cannabis, pay your taxes, make cannabis, help your friends. I just want people to be better off in life when it comes to cannabis. So subcool.com is a place where we go and learn to grow. And then tgagenetics.com is the place where you go buy seeds. So if you just type Subcool into your browser, you'll find me.
Well, far out, Subcool. Don't go anywhere. All right? Everybody else, I will be right back. So, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed that. Me personally, I was like a kid at Christmas. Like I said, he's one of my favorite breeders. And a couple of times in that conversation, I turned into a total fanboy talking to him. Just because I couldn't believe that I had him on the phone and he was on my show. So everyone, you can find him at TGA Genetics. He's also got his own podcast, which is called the Weed Nerd Live Show. Go over there and check him out. Well, everyone, that's all I've got for you today. Again, I want to thank Subcool for taking the time to talk to me. And I also want to thank you guys for showing up and listening to me. Now, don't forget, if this podcast has educated you, entertained you, or even given you a little bit of escape from the day, and you're able to help the show financially, go over to patreon.com/inmygrow and make a donation. If you don't want to donate, you can go over to inmygrow.com, click on the support the show tab, and you can buy a t-shirt. Or even easier, you can just click on the Amazon link in the show notes. But if you can't support the show financially, don't worry about it. I get it. Here's how you can help. Subscribe to the podcast. You can also go over to inmygrow.com and subscribe to the website. And then tell 3 other people about the show. That's it. Real simple, real easy. Don't forget, if you're a cannabis company that wants to advertise with our worldwide audience, send an email to inmygrow@gmail.com. And if you have any questions or comments about this episode, you can find me on Instagram @inmygrow, or you can also send me an email at inmygrow@gmail.com. Now next week, I plan on talking to Noah from Bud Buddy. Well, mi gente, my people, I'm going to get on out of here. I love you all very much, and don't forget to always grow, learn, and teach.
Endless application.